Hey there, welcome to a brand new episode of Muzikxpress. My name is Twan, and in this week's vlog you will see my in-depth interview with Ferry Corsten about the track Gouryella, the history of Gouryella, the brand new Gouryella track Surga, some System F stuff and more. Enjoy! Gouryella is a project from Ferry Corsten which started as a collaboration together with Tiësto aka DJ Tiësto. The first Gouryella track, which was titled Gouryella as well, came out in May 1999. The track got a lot of support, especially in the UK, where DJs such as P-Tong, Scott Bond, Dave Pearce and many others did play the track in almost all their sets. Gouryella even made it to the number 15 position of the UK charts. These days Gouryella is considered as one of the biggest trance classics ever. And now, 20 years later, a brand new Gouryella track called Surga just came out on Ferry's label Flashover Recordings. For this week's vlog, I sat down with Ferry Corsten in his studio in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, to talk with him about the history of Gouryella, the new Gouryella track Surga, his System F project and more. My first question to Ferry was if he did remember meeting Tiësto for the very first time.
Yeah, very well actually. It was probably 98 or something. He was working in this record store where I always used to buy my records. And I was always looking for a specific sound named trance, in later years. And he was sort of like the one person that always could help me out with the right records. And I believe I was also one of the few people that actually came to that store to look for that music. And I think we had a really early click, like pretty quickly. So always discussing music, always playing each other music, and So after I released System F Out of the Blue, and that blew up, we had sort of like an idea, like, hey, let's get together in the studio. He was already DJing, I was really more producing at the time. So yeah, we felt like, hey, what will this do? He brings his experience from the dance floor into the studio. I brought the experience of the production. So that's how Gouryella came about.
The first release you did under the project name Gouryella was the track Gouryella. What do you remember from the production process of the track?
It was just trial and error in most ways. I mean, obviously I had a certain sound, with Out of the Blue. That was also our starting point, that type of sound. Since, it was a track that Thijs played a lot in his set and that type of music. So that was a starting point, but yeah, it had to be different. I do remember that since Out of the Blue was a starting point, which was 140 BPM, Thijs said like, hey, let's bring it down a bit. Let's do 138. And yeah, I think he just came in with his knowledge from the dance floor. Like, where should we just take it easier on the drums, or these little things that make a record a bit more interesting to listen to. But yeah, it was just a cool collaboration. I mean, I was just playing away on the keyboard with melodies, and all of a sudden I hear from the corner of my room, like, yeah, that's it. There was a melody. So I mean, it was a cool sort of synergy. Yeah.
And what kind of equipment was used for the production?
Yeah. Well, it's a long time ago, so I think I was working on at the time still. I was working on Atari actually, Cubase Atari. I had my Akai S something sampler, I believe it was S950. This bad boy obviously played a big, which is the JP8000 Roland. Yeah, it played a major role in all my releases at the time. All that super soul sound stuff. So that was definitely there. Yeah, and there's a Roland XV1080. JX. Is it JX? I can't remember even. Like an old like module, Roland module that had some of the famous Gouryella sounds in there. So yeah. Later became the famous Gouryella sounds. Yeah.
Can you tell us how you made the famous Gouryella bass line?
It's a modulating bass that responds to the velocity, So when you press a key harder, you know, like the frequency sort of that bass opens up a little, so you get that more sound, and the softer you press it, the frequency, you know, is lower, so you get more like a. So by playing with that, you get that sort of modulating sound. That yeah, I mean, I've never heard that ever since. I've never heard a similar bass line anywhere. So it's still very recognizable for the Gouryella sound. And you know, after bringing Gouryella back after so many years, I decided to just definitely bring that bass line back in again. Yeah.
How long did it take you to finish the entire track?
You mean Gouryella, the first one?
Yeah.
I was producing really quickly, really fast those days. You know, there wasn't, you know, there wasn't too much around. I mean, it was what it was. You had that synth, you had that drum computer, you had this sample, and you didn't have endless possibilities of tweaking like what you have today with all your software, right? So it was just pretty straightforward. You were in the moment. So I think just it took us like one day to sit together, and I just sort of like finished it up the next day. So it's like 2 days or so.
Not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
Gouryella came out 20 years ago in May 1999, but an early version of the track already appeared on Tiësto's Magic Mix compilation in 1998. But it gets mentioned in the track listing as Tiësto featuring Sidewinder. Do you remember this, and also the reason why you guys changed the project name?
I can't really remember, but I can only think of reasons why, because we had no name yet as Gouryella. I had a release on Tsunami Records as Sidewinder, which was a track that was current at the time. Out of the Blue had just happened, I believe, or was about to happen. I think it had just happened actually. And there was a certain limitation, you know, in the way I could use System F in other projects. So yeah, I think that must have been it. Come up with like some random name for him to be able to use it, and then we decided to name it Gouryella after. Yeah.
The radio version of Gouryella made it into the UK singles chart, and it got to the number 15 position of the charts. Did you guys even think it would be played on the radio?
I don't think we ever expected that, but Out of the Blue hit that same sort of, you know, number. I believe it was number 11 or so, and because of those days, I think there was a lot more open-mindedness going on, you know, also in radio. And with a track like Out of the Blue hitting the charts, in the slipstream came Gouryella, and there were a lot more tracks later on, you know, instrumental tracks that made the top 40s on you know, Radio 1 in the UK. So it was just very different. It's really almost impossible to think about that in today's radio landscape, you know, tracks like that. Yeah, but we never really expected it. We didn't make the track for radio. It was just really for, you know, for us, for the love of music. And yeah, it just happened to become a radio track later on.
Just 4 months after the release of Gouryella, the follow-up already came out, which was called Valhalla, a track with vocals by Rachel Speer. Did you know that Rachel is also responsible for the vocals of the Nakatomi singles Free and Children of the Night?
Yeah, I knew that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I met Rachel through a mutual friend of ours at the time, and he introduced me to her, and I was, you know, thinking like, hey, let's do something, and hey, we have this radio thing, maybe just do a vocal version of it, not the only existing version. So we for a slightly bit more radio continuation and success, we decided to have this one vocal version. Yeah.
So the first 2 Gouryella singles that came out on Tsunami both reached the golden status. In the year 2000, the track Tenshi came out, and not long after that, Tiësto left the project. In 2002, you released Ligaya, which was the first Gouryella track you did on your own. After that, it has been quiet for a very long time, and during that time, the most asked question in interviews was most likely, when will there be a new Gouryella track? In 2008, you and Tiësto did a back-to-back set at the Flashover recording stage at the Dance Valley Festival, where Gouryella was played as the last track. This show created quite a buzz in Tranceland. Weren't there any talks back then between you and Tiësto about a possible new Gouryella collaboration?
Yeah, we've had quite a few talks actually, a number of talks. I mean, Thijs left the project or did not continue with the project in the sense that he was like ready for something new. He just wanted to do something else, you know, and sort of like that. I later realized that that meant that he was going to leave trance altogether. That you know, hence where we are right now. So yeah, I felt like the need to just do at least one more, you know. So I was able to team up with John Eubank for Gouryella. There was like a sketch that he had lying around, and he gave that sort of idea to me, and I produced it to what it became later. Yeah, I don't know. Just like I said, I sat down with Thijs a few times, and there was definitely some interest at some from his end at some point. Like, okay, but where would you want to take it then? That was the main question. Like, are you saying that you want to make a Gouryella track that is exactly like the old Gouryellas, or are we going to take it somewhere else? And I think his idea was slightly different than what I had in mind, and that's why it never really happened. So, but yeah, I mean, things happen for a reason, right? I mean, I came back in 2015 with Anahera, and it's going strong again.
That's actually my next question. Why did it take you so long to come up with a new Gouryella track?
It took me so long because I was, you know, at some point the music itself was changing. I was changing, my musical taste was changing. I wasn't really feeling trance at some point at all as well, because it was just the same old, nothing special. You know, and then yeah, I also wanted to make my side steps to, I don't know, a bit more electro, with punk and Rock Your Body Rock and Fire and all of those tracks. And then when EDM started coming up in the very beginning, I was like, oh, this is cool, like what I've always done, you know, like experimenting with certain elements from another genre, bringing those elements into trance and see what it will do to that sound, just to push it forward, just keep it interesting. So yeah, I had my little cheat moments with EDM as well, but then, you know, the whole EDM thing just took over and it became too much for me, with all the put your effing hands up and that stuff. That it reached boiling point for me, like, okay, I'm tired. What do I really want to do? And what is the music that I really love? X amount of years later, I was looking back at those days and I was like, yeah, see, that still gives me goosebumps. I'm gonna go back there. So I guess I really needed those years away from that sound for me to actually really appreciate it again. And also that together with the, like what you said earlier, with the endless, you know, requests and questions like, will there ever be a new Gouryella? Fair, why aren't you going back to that older sound, you know? And yeah, so that's sort of like all these things coming together and me feeling like, you know, I just want to do the thing again that I really love doing. And yeah.
It must have been great to read all the comments about Anahera after everybody got to hear this one for the very first time.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be a buzz. Of course, you know, it's Gouryella back after so many years. And, you know, when something is absent for so long, it's like almost the saying, like absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So when something is away for so long and it's still so, people still love it so much, that demand gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The only danger that comes with that is that whole idea of that next Gouryella track is like, oh, for me it was like, oh, I better make sure it is on point, because this whole idea is like, people are going to expect the Holy Grail, you know, nothing less. So any track that is just another trance track and you call it Gouryella is not going to cut it. It had to be that Gouryella sound, that typical sound with the soundscaping, with the chord progressions, with the melody on it. And so knowing that I had that track, and the way we sort of like slowly started pushing it out with the release of a letter in a different color, the A one day, the N the next day, the A another day, all these letters with different colors, 7 letters, different Anahera meaning angel, 7 archangels. Everyone has a different color. Every color means something else. The color has a meaning. The whole thing, the way we built it up, I knew there was going to be a buzz, but how it was just like an atomic bomb explosion, in Transland. So yeah, it was great. I mean, to see that response was great. And I knew, like, okay, this is apparently really what people have been waiting for. Yeah, I've been sort of like blind, but not really. Like I said, my head was in a different space for a while. So yeah.
After Anahera became the best sold trance track on Beatport and also got voted as the best trance track of 2015 in a state of trance, you started with some Gouryella shows in 2016. Why did you decide to go on tour as Gouryella?
Because of a very persistent promoter from the States. Yeah, I released Anahera, not thinking anything more of like another release, and yeah, I mean, I gotta give credits to Jeff Ryan from EDC/Dreamstate. He was the one chasing me, like, Fair, I want this, but I need like a show. Let's do something. And I was very hesitant because what I'm gonna do? I'm like, all the other Gouryella stuff is like ancient by now. So, but after a while, it's like he had a good point. It's like, you made this track. You want this music to be out there again. So what better to do a live show and bring that music back again? So, okay, I was like, yeah, got a point. So, but then I found myself in another sort of situation where Anahera sounds like today. It's, yeah, it has sentiment of the older sounds, but it clearly sounds like a track that is produced nowadays, or like in this day and age with today's technology. And here I'm gonna do an hour show where all the other tracks are at least like 15 years old, And so I decided to just go back in the studio, reproduce every track to the exact sort of like same as the original was, with this, where there's like a certain filter opening of like a synth of the melody, whatever, that will happen at the same time, exactly the same. Just the whole production is done with today's technology, with today's equipment, and therefore it sounds super tight again, and stands its ground next to Anahera, So yeah, that was a challenge. That took some time because my archiving from back in those days was not as accurate as it is today, So I had to look for all the samples, and I couldn't find half of the samples. I had to recreate sort of like the drum loops and to make it sound similar, and recreate the sounds and everything. So yeah, it's a bit of a headache, but I'm glad I did it because all these old Gouryellas right now sound accurate, and I have stems, and I can cut it, edit it, remix it, whatever. I can do whatever again what I want with it. So
a year after the release of Anahera, the Gouryella track Neba came out in 2016, and in 2017 Venera V's Team came out, which was one of the tracks from your Blueprint album. And now we have Surga, which just came out. I know each Gouryella track has a special meaning. What is the meaning behind Surga?
Surga is actually, it means heaven as well in Bahasa Indonesia. So I'm always looking for this this exotic sounding word that has a pretty ring to it, and every word is either heaven or angel or something within that realm. So that is what Gouryella is. Gouryella means heaven, right? And so every following title should be like that. So yeah, Surga fit the whole picture. Yeah.
How long did it take you to finish Surga?
Yeah, Surga had been lying on the shelf for a while. I mean, I had so like the initial sort of idea or draft, and then I've been going back and forth to it. Whereas with the other Gouryellas, it was just like, okay, I would have the idea, bang, bosh, done. And this was like, okay, a process over months, basically. Every time I revisited and just added like another thing to it. But what I love about Surga is that it's a very sort of like It's like a melody that has all these counter melodies. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on that all answers to each other. It's a call and answer, all that, like, completely throughout the whole track, which is yeah, not something I've done before. I feel it's a bit more. I don't want to say complicated, but yeah, there's more going on there. Yeah.
Is this also the Gouryella track that took you the longest to finish?
Yeah, I mean, you know, stretch out over all those months. Yeah, for sure. The actual production was probably 3-4 days. Yeah.
When you start working on the new Gouryella track, do you already have some ideas, or do you sit in your studio and when a cool melody pops up, you decide that this might be something for a new Gouryella track?
It depends, really. I mean, Neighbor was like that. You know, I was just playing it and I found the melody of that. Venera, actually, Venera is a funny one because I actually made Venera, or the music, or the theme for Venera it was basically made as one of the sort of like the background music for the Gouryella documentary. You know, it was just something that I wanted to have on the background while I was, you know, when you would hear my interview or you would hear me speak. And I think at the very end of the documentary, you can actually hear what the initial first version of Venera was, and it's nothing, you know, nothing trancey as we know Venera now. And so when I was looking for the new Gouryella, I was actually going through all these ideas, and I was like, oh, you know, I still have this. So I grabbed that, and it's like, you know, this, just if I change it up, this is like the perfect Gouryella melody, right, for the new one. So yeah, that's Venera. Yeah.
Back in the day, the Gouryella releases always came out with remixes, but since Anahera there have been no official remixes of the new Gouryella tracks. Is there a reason for this?
Yeah, you know, for me, what I've seen with how the whole Gouryella thing became so, like, you know, the holy grail. Oh my God, I felt like, okay, I have to treat it as such. You know, treat it with, like, yeah, as gentle as possible. And the version that is out there, that's the way the track is meant to be. That's how it's supposed to sound. That's how I had it in mind. And yeah, no alterations needed, you know. It is what it is. If people want to make their own remixes, fine, and play it and whatever, all good. But the release doesn't need another remix, because this is how it's meant to be. And yeah, that's 100% right there.
So far there are only 2 vocal Gouryella tracks, Valhalla and Ligaya. Can we ever expect a new vocal Gouryella track?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I mean, I really do want a vocal Gouryella again. But as of now, I haven't really, you know, found that inspiration to do that vocal thing. So yeah, not yet, but never say never.
So this year it is 20 years ago since the first Gouryella came out. Also, your System F track Out of the Blue turns 20 this year. And last year you did a System F show at Dream State. You're gonna do System F shows at EDC Las Vegas, Electronic Family and Transmission this year. Can we expect some more System F shows around the globe?
Yeah, I think there will definitely be more System F shows. I mean, right now there's been a few, or a few confirmed, but there's a lot of chatter and talk going on right now behind the scenes. And yeah, I mean, you know, System F was my first love in that sense, you know. So it's great to have that back as well. Yeah, and when I did it at Dream State last year, at Dream State's SoCal, the response on that was very powerful. The feedback after the show that I saw and read and was just incredible. You know, almost more intense than with Gouryella, which I did not expect, to be honest. So yeah, that's another chapter that has an open end again. Yeah.
And what about a new System F track maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? The thing with that, same thing with Gouryella. It has to sound like, you know, just making another trance track and call it the new System F is not gonna do it. It needs to have the System F sort of sound. And where Gouryella is a bit more specific, that always has that sort of like ethereal, transcending sort of melody. Gouryella was always a bit more party-minded, I guess. You know, it was a bit more diverse from tracks like Soul on Soul. System F was definitely more diverse. Tracks like Soul on Soul, on the one hand. Then you got Out of the Blue, you got Solstice, you get Cry. You know, very different tracks, all of them. Where Gouryella definitely was more this one particular sound. So I don't know. It's a System F just has to happen. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna sit here in the studio waiting for weeks to find that System F thing. And that's how it work anyway. You know. Also with Gouryella, I could work on something else. Could work on a remix for someone, and I'm just playing something, and I you know, looking for a great sort of hook for the remix. And I find something that is actually amazing as the new Gouryella. I put that aside, you know, and that is what has to happen with anything that could become the new System F as well. But so far, I haven't yet, but we'll see.
You're also busy with lots of other stuff. Some months ago you released your very first movie soundtrack for the movie Don't Go. Can we expect some new movie scores in the near future?
Nothing's there on the horizon yet, but yeah, I'm all open in the field, you know, because it was very inspiring to do that, and you know, just composing music to picture is just really different from composing music with your idea of the dance floor in mind. You know, it's just a world of a difference, and yeah, you know, that sense of inspiration that I got when I was making that movie score. You know, it doesn't happen every day that you have that, and I want more of that, because it's just an amazing feeling, and just you know, yeah, and the freedom as well that you have with that, because you know, in Tranceland there are so many unwritten rules. Apparently, you know, there's I don't know where that book exists, but there must be a rule book out there that trance needs to be 140 BPM, have a plucky sound and whatever. And as long as I've been making trance, I've never read that book, but apparently it's there. So all these so-called, you know, rules that more people know about than I do. I don't know, but with movie scores, and especially when you have a director like David Gleason who says like, Ferry, I want something that is different from the big Hollywood orchestras, and you know, I really just carte blanche, go ahead. You know, that is the coolest thing, yeah.
And last but not least, you're still busy with your Unity project, where you collaborate with other producers. So far you did collabs already with people such as Paul Oakenfold, Dimension, Ilan Bluestone and some others. Are there any other Unity collabs you can already reveal?
There's one that's almost done with Gabriel Dresden. One of many to come. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the works with a lot of other people, but that's, yeah, so far the only one I can say that's yeah, almost done. Yeah.
What else can we expect from you later this year?
Well, I'm definitely working on a bunch of new Ferry Corsten singles. We just had Free Fall. There's a few new ones on the horizon. Yeah, and then I'm dealing with the Gouryella and the System F shows. Yeah, but that's it so far. Yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about Stillpoint? What is that exactly?
Yeah, Stillpoint I think is the thing that is the little fire that started after doing the movie score for Don't Go. You know, it's in my free time when I just want to step away from all the crazy life. You know, I love listening to sort of like this neoclassical stuff, movie score, soundtracks, whatever you want to call it. So I decided to just put this playlist together. It's called Stillpoint by Ferry Corsten. It's on Spotify, and it's all this yeah, like that type of music. John Hopkins, Oliver Arnold, Niels Frahm, people like that. And also started my own imprint, it's called Stillpoint, which features that type of music as well. Yeah, doing that Stillpoint stuff, it's just a different sort of creative outlet, you know. I mean, there's the stuff I need to do for my shows, as the person Ferry Corsten, and there's also definitely stuff that I want to do, you know. When I'm here at night, let's say, it's dark outside, put this little mood lights on here and just, you know, go crazy, no rules. And it's just amazing to be able to do that. And coming back after a show, turn on that stuff, you know, turn on the Stillpoint playlist. It's just it's nice to unwind. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, man. You too.
Alright, that was it, this week's vlog, my interview with Ferry Corsten about Gouryella, System F and more. Ferry, thank you very much for your time, much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you did, make sure to give this video a like, leave a comment in the comment section below. Actually, let me know in the comments what is your favorite production or remix made by Ferry. And if you didn't already, make sure to subscribe. If you're new to my channel, I would recommend you to have a little look on my channel, because you can expect a lot of other interviews online with people such as Maxi Jazz from Fateless, Jean-Michel Jarre, Solar Stone, The Thrill Seekers, Mike Push, Sander Kleinenberg, Gabriel and Dresden, Chicane, and the list goes on and on. And I can already tell you there will be some really cool names for the next couple of months. One of them is another big trance legend, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Okay, once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.